YouTubers, wow, what a video we have for you today, which I don't think anyone saw coming, including myself. This bikini pro is not just a competitor, she's not just an Olympian, she is a previous Olympia champion and is definitely one of the most admired in the sport. So this is huge breaking news, guys. Your former 2019 Bikini Olympia champion, Elisa Pecini, has changed teams to James Ayotte of Team Atlas. Like, wow, this is absolutely crazy. It took me by surprise, as I'm sure it has for the likes of many of you out there. I did not see this coming at all. So let's first delve a bit deeper into Elisa Pecini. We know she has won the Olympia back in 2019. She is actually a huge part of the reason why lats have become so important for a bikini physique currently. If you look at her 2019 Olympia shape, it is honestly one of the most insane, and I mean insane, physiques in history of bikini of all time. Not to mention, it is one of the best packages I have ever seen, full stop. It was so insane that the judges even had to pull it back the following years not to come in with this crazy level of conditioning, reduce the amount of competitors flaring their lats during their front pose, come in with such a crazily proportioned X-frame. And this photo on your screen, guys, is what you call the definition of an X-frame. So step back a few years to now in 2022, and Elisa's body is downsized in certain parts from that infamous 2019 Olympia win. She is more downsized in a lot of her muscle groups. She still has absolutely insane proportions, but not to the same extent of the 2019 version. But this is because she's had to change her physique to the standards of bikini as it changes over time. It never stands still. But Elisa's biggest strength is her structure and her front pose. In terms of structure, I don't think anyone has a better base structure than Elisa Pecini. Even the top coaches around the world almost universally agree to this. Now, don't get me wrong, there could be some up-and-coming amateur or even an everyday person which has a better structure than her. But right now, she is the top of the list. But my God, I also can't wait for the next gen of competitors to make their way through because the standard is just getting better and better. The competitions on the amateur front are the most competitive they have ever been. Now, the other biggest strength of Elisa is her front pose, that beautifully aesthetic X-frame front pose. When she locks into that front pose, you can see those beautiful lines run down her physique. You can see her lats popping and tapering down to one of the tiniest waists in bikini. It literally gets to sub 20 inches. Like half the pros you see are competing with 23 or 25 inch waists. I mean, her waist is literally snatched, and I'm sure as hell would love to have a waist this small. It really does create that X factor. But even from her waist, it pops out at her hips. This whole silhouette gives such a feminine yet strong. It is just jaw-dropping. Let's just say there's a reason why Slim Tum sponsor her, and could also be a reason why her waist is so snatched. But what hasn't gone right for Elisa since she won Olympia back in 2019? Now from the front, Elisa can easily hang with the top pros in the game. I'm talking Jen Dory, Maureen Blankisco, Lauralee Chapados, Ashley Coltwazar, Janet Leorg, Daraja. Hell, she probably has the best front pose in the game right now. She would be in that top 2 at minimum. But what has held her back recently is her rear pose, conditioning, and maybe her posing just a tiny bit. Now, when Elisa transitions to her rear pose, she gets overwhelmed by the other competitors we have mentioned. Like, I'll even put up a comparison with some of the other top pros so you guys can see for yourself. Her glutes are just outsized by the likes of Maureen, Jan, Lauralee, Ashley, etc. And this really hurts her placings at the top shows. Elisa is the type of competitor who could easily win any smaller and medium shows, but she has struggled recently at bigger shows like the Arnold and Olympia when she's standing with the other top of the food chain pros. And it's not that she doesn't have a crazy body, because her physique is still one of the top of the bikini division. It is that we all, including myself, hold Elisa to such a high standard. that she's a real threat to win every year she competes at Olympia, because she has won Olympia before. She has beaten all those names we've mentioned before. So everyone wants to see her reach that potential like she did in 2019. And even win Olympia again. Don't forget, Isa is still young. She's only in her mid-20s, which is nuts because it feels like she's been in this sport forever. But if she can develop her glutes and lower body further, this will be an absolute game changer for her. She could even take out Olympia this year. Who knows? But she would have a real good shot. Maybe even add a hair more development to her upper body to match it with Jen's and Laura Lee's of the world, and bring in a package which is a cross between her 2019 Olympia winning package and her recent package. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be dangerous. I mean, that will be very dangerous, especially if she brings in the right level of conditioning. She has this habit of either coming in too tight or just a tad too soft. My guess would be that she has been trying to find that balance to make her glutes pop and make her tie-in show, whilst trying to keep everything else looking tight, which is a real fine line. But if she had more muscle in the rear, that perfect spot will be a lot easier to hit. So this brings me to her new coach, James of Team Atlas. Now we all know James runs Team Atlas. He has previously coached both Jen and Laura Lee, who everyone already knows. He has the likes of other Olympians on his roster, like India Paulino, Laura Ziv, Lucia Malaves, and Gabriela Muhammad, just to name a few, not to mention Denny Phelps as well. But he also has a whole heap of these unlimited potential up-and-comers. Amina Fit, Victoria Schmidt, spring to mind for me. It's a stacked team, guys, from the Olympians down to the amateurs. Now, I think it's clear to everyone that James is a top coach. He has a good track record of winning shows, getting his competitors to high levels at Olympia, and turning amateurs into pros. That is undeniable. The facts speak for themselves. But he's never won an Olympia. Yet. Now he has one of the biggest names in bikini, and I mean a big name in his team, and this is going to be wild because both he and Isa have to deliver at this level. But I think James is astute enough and objective enough to bring her back. Honestly, my expectations would be at a minimum a top 4 placing at Olympia this year, and that is because I hold Isa to such a high standard. I'm not a coach, but if I was James, I would be going straight into an off season to build that muscle base, especially for that rear pose. And I mean a proper off season, not just like a short off season, but a proper off season. I would make sure to do at least 1 or 2 shows before Olympia to understand how her body responds to peaking and filling up. Also to determine what level of conditioning she needs to come in at for Olympia. I would also refine her posing just a touch more to hang in there with the likes of Jen Dory, Laura Lee and Maureen, because they are just so poised and fluid in their routines. But James dropped an Instagram story where he has hinted at exactly what he's focused on in improving her as a competitor. I'll read it out for you guys, but I 100% agree with everything he says. The primary objective for Isa is to enhance her back pose through the development of her glutes and hamstrings in order to achieve symmetry with her front pose. With 6 years of competition experience, she possesses a substantial amount of data which she will share with me, enabling me to assess the situation and formulate a comprehensive strategy. While there are a few straightforward adjustments that can be made, such as modifying the shape of her suit bottom, which I already addressed, the primary focus will be on building dense and round glutes while maintaining proper bikini conditioning, without compromising her front pose in any way. Although she initially indicated her intentions to solely compete in the Olympia this year, it would be prudent to participate in any additional show beforehand. As such, the plan is now to schedule a show in close proximity to the Olympia, affording us the opportunity to conduct a trial run in peaking her physical condition in preparation for the Olympia. Now, James sums it up absolutely beautifully. He's trying to keep what she's best at, which is her front pose, and he's trying to develop her weakest flaw in her game being her rear pose and bringing up those glutes and hemis. Absolutely nails it. And guys, I know I'm being a bit more critical than usual, but the way I see it is I'm generally less critical and more forgiving of amateurs and new pros because I expect them to make mistakes stepping on stage. I expect their physiques to not have peaked yet, and I want to positively reinforce them. But at Isa's level, it is a different game. Guys, there are levels to this, and they don't come higher than that top tier. They are your all-stars. They can't slip in any category. They literally have to come in at 8 or 9 out of 10 in every category to win Olympia. Muscle development, balance, symmetry, conditioning, posing, stage presence, confidence, bikini color, tanning color, fullness, beauty, hairstyle, like the list just goes on and on. Now I'm super excited to see what the future holds for Isa and Team Atlas combined together. It is great to see her with a different coach who holds a different perspective. Let's also not forget that her previous coach, Ricardo from Team Pannain, is also one of the top coaches in the game. Now I don't know the reasons why she changed teams. I guess only Isa and those close to her know. But if I find out anything further, I will keep you guys updated. I'd love to know your thoughts, guys, if Isa will win Olympia this year, or if not, how will she place? Drop a comment down below. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and please be subbed up this week because I will be covering the Arnold. As always, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Insta. I'm far more active on there now. I hope you're all safe and well. Over and out from Bikini Nation.